Mm, 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 mm. Lord have mercy. What I was gonna do? What I was gonna do? Lord have mercy. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Leo, and welcome to the bird section. Oh, you know what it is, everybody. Dallas Hate Week begins. Well, actually, it's always Dallas Hate Week. You know, I figure it's that time for me to get on here real quick. And let me address a couple of things first, particularly as it pertains to the 53-man roster, and our practice squad taking shape. And I'm really, really happy with the way things are going. We all know who's on the team right now. Some of the people that I was pulling for, like for instance, Anais Smith. He didn't actually get brought back to the practice squad, nor or he didn't make the 53-man roster nor the practice squad. He ended up signing onto the Carolina Panthers practice squad, and I think that's just because he's seen the writing on the wall. We're loaded at the wide receiver position, and he went where he had the best chance of getting on the field. So I'm not even the least bit mad at him for that. Just disappointed that we weren't able to get him on here. But again, like I said, the I've always been saying the 53-man roster is fluid, and so is the practice squad. I've told people pay attention to the practice squad. So let me tell you who exactly is on the practice squad. Linebacker Chance Campbell. We were able to retain wide receiver Elijah Cooks, which I was like, yeah. Running back Audric Estime, offensive guard Kenyon Green. That's the guy we brought over for the trade with C.J. Gardner-Johnson with Houston. And then we have tight end E.J. Jenkins, cornerback Brandon Johnson, edge rusher Patrick Johnson. I was happy about that. I was not happy he didn't make the 53-man roster, but he cleared waivers and we were able to get him back onto the practice squad. Then we have tight end Cameron Latou, wide receiver Terrence Marshall. That's the guy we brought in from the Carolina Panthers, and believe me, y'all, it's good we got him on the team. Surprisingly, they brought back Kyle McCord. So I think he's just a development piece, and who knows? You never know. Let's see what happens. Besides, having an emergency to the emergency quarterback ain't a bad thing. He'll have time to develop. Cornerback Perry Nickerson, and listen, as a proud, Trentonian, Imani Bentley, what's good? How you doing? Imani says Cowgirl 17, Eagles 56. Yeah. Now, as a proud Trentonian, got to give a mad shout out to Holland Pierce. This kid showed up. He's a UDFA out of Rutgers. Actually, showed up his freshman year at Rutgers, over 400 pounds, and then ended up making his way. Walked on at Rutgers and became a star offensive lineman. He's playing at 340, so he's done his thing. He's doing his due diligence, and now he gets to spend some time under Stoutland University. He's 6'8", y'all, 6'8", 340. So he fits the mold of what the Philadelphia Eagles like when it comes to offensive linemen. Um, we have our edge rusher Antoine Powell Ryland Jr., cornerback Eli Ricks. Eli Ricks was let go, then he cleared waivers, and we brought him back on the practice squad. I would hope that Eli uses his time to really get into to do his due diligence so that he's ready when called upon. He's had an opportunity and he has another chance, and I think this will be his last chance. And then we have safety Andre Sam. Now there's only 13 positions, so we have three more roster spots that I'm sure are going to get filled out. And I've been telling everybody, pay close attention to our practice squad. Our practice squad is really, really dangerous. And to be honest with you, I really think that this this year's Philadelphia Eagles is a much more dangerous team than last year's Philadelphia Eagles, and so I'm pretty excited about that, and having him on the team as well. Um, we also got there was another offensive lineman that we brought in from where was homeboy from? Uh uh and his name is Lampkin too. Um where I forget where he came from. This dude is a center, and he's 5 foot. Eric Wallace, what's good, money? Lampkin is 5'11", plays center, but has long arms and has been pancaking the hell out of people. I looked at the tape and everything like that. I believe he was with the Rams. And so it's going to be fun watching him because I talked with Eugene Monroe and he was telling me, yeah, if he's 5'11", that's one thing, but if he got long arms, that means that he's going to be his core and his base and his ability to maintain his blocks is going to be it should be phenomenal because people with long arms, the examples that he gave me of short guys with long arms was Dwight Freeney and Aaron Donald. So he was like, height is one thing, but if you're short and you got long arms, then you can be successful. And based off the tape that I've seen from this kid, he's been doing just that. He says, Eric Wallace says, as a follower of both Seattle and Kansas City, congrats on your title. Eric, I really appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you for that, man. And listen, for those of you who haven't already, if you haven't, please hit the like button. Y'all know what that means for me, and I need that. And if you haven't actually done so yet, please subscribe. I need to get these. I got to get these subscriptions up. Y'all know my goal. I want to be at 10,000, not 1,000, but I want to be at 10,000 by mid-season. And I don't want to have. I don't want to lose games in order to get to that 10,000. So, and no, at the bird section, everybody is welcome. So that's all I have to say about the practice squad and the 53-man roster. Really, I'm super happy with it. I'm sure that, as happy as I am knowing Howie Roseman, he is not at all satisfied and is always trying to think and look at ways in which we can make the team better. So I take comfort in that. Also, with having Jeff Stoutland as the offensive line coach, I'm sure that offensive line is going to be just as successful this year as we were last year. Now, that's all I got for that because I wanted to turn the page on that and just get into talking about Dallas Hate Week. And let me start off with this, right? Because earlier today, our friend, Mark Holmes, poor Mark, oh, so Mark Holmes makes a video, and this is him, talking with Dan Salio, or this was Dan Salio talking to somebody else. It was Dan Salio interviewing someone else, and as soon as he starts off, when he says Dan Salio, then it's okay. So that being said, right? Mark titles his video saying the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to repeat. And he pretexts the video showing the interview with Dan Salio and whoever this other idiot was, saying, he called me out, and so I told him, I said, well, no worries, Mark, a proper response is incoming. And he started showing this video with Dan Salio, some other dude, talking about the Eagles are not going to repeat, and here's why, and it was nothing sound at all. And then it hit me, it dawned on me. I was like, oh, you know what? That's right. He's in the beginning of Philadelphia Eagles Hate Week, and and with everything that's going on, because again, Michael Parsons isn't signed yet, all this stuff. And now at this point, you know, his availability for the game on week one is starting to come into question, whether he's a full participant or a participant on a pitch count at this point. Because, the thought process is he may not be fully conditioned for gameplay, until after week one. So we'll see about that. I'm not banking on it. I don't really care. The Eagles are preparing as if he's going to be there, and that's the smart way to be. But watching Mark and listening to him talk, and I realized, you know what? See, the Cowboys fan base. I've been saying this all off season and during the preseason. Jerry Jones has groomed them. He's groomed them in such a way that, as disappointed as they may or may not be in the team or the general manager or the owner, who happen to be both the same person, one thing that they always the fan base does is they still give him their money. The tours of the star haven't stopped. The training camp keeps getting packed out there in Oxnard. They still go to the games. They're still buying merchandise, and the fan base has gotten themselves where they take comfort in the fact that their comfort zone or is the fact that Dak Prescott is 9-4, I think, against the Eagles and 33-8 in the NFC East, and he's got all these crazy stats, but the stats that matter the most is how many playoff wins, how many NFC championship games, how many Super Bowl wins. They ignore that part. They don't even want you to talk about those numbers. They go into 40,000 passing yards, and whenever he's had a catastrophic injury, he's on and all this other stuff. And I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, like my quarterback says, let's keep the main thing the main thing. And for us, the main thing is maintaining wins. That's the main thing. I can get less than a damn about all that other stuff. If it don't add up to wins, then what does it matter? Ask the Baltimore Ravens fan base when they look at Lamar Jackson. Ask the Buffalo Bills fan base when they look at Josh Allen. Ask the Cincinnati Bengals when they look at Joe Burrow. These are all guys that the talking pundits have ranked as better than Jalen Hurts. I'm sure those fan bases would trade all those stats and everything like that just for a Super Bowl win. Okay. So I started thinking, I was like, what is Mark doing and what is he saying? Because none of this is making sense. And then I'm listening to Dan Salio and whoever the other, like I said, the other idiot he had on his page or his live stream or what have you. And again, none of the stuff that they were saying was true or made any sense. It's all rooted in something. Mark is perpetuating all this stuff, and he does the thing where he has plausible deniability because he'll say, it's not me that's saying it, they're saying it. So go at them. And that's when it hit me. Holy shit. Now the Cowboys content creators are doing whatever they can, like Mark, to manufacture controversy. That's where they are right now. They have to manufacture controversy. I have maintained and said throughout, they don't care. They know they're going to lose the game. What they're most concerned with is how bad and how they look because they don't want to be embarrassed. So if we win, if they lose by 6, they'll go, hey, we were just a touchdown away from beating the defending Super Bowl champions. We'll be all right if we're looking like this game one. If we're, and this is, and for some odd reason, they think that, if we lose this game, then you can cancel the season, it's over and everything like that. Look, let me just break it down to you again. Dallas fan base, I told you before, and I'm gonna tell you again. Because your owner and GM have undermined your coach and all the goodwill that he's built up throughout the course of the offseason, the playoffs for you guys is canceled. That's it. You're not going to the playoffs. You might as well forget it. You are in a rebuild mode. In fact, this is the first time that you basically, because you have to play us next week, so you have no choice to talk about us. And the thing about it is that it's difficult. I know it's difficult for you all to have to, the focus be on the Philadelphia Eagles because everything that you have to say about the Philadelphia Eagles is nothing but good things, and in terms of the defense, because they were like, the defense is so much turnover. Hold up, timeout, wait. See, this is where we start messing around with numbers and telling all kinds of stories and stuff like that. I've told everybody, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles defense, Vic Fangio last year, his first year with the team, brought the defense from ranked number 26 at the beginning of the season to number 1 at the end of the season, which happens to be the record for the biggest jump in rankings for a defense. No team has ever gone from 26 to 1 ever. We did that. I'm not too concerned about the whole thing about the starters that we lost and everything like that because that's happened to us before, fairly recent, okay? A couple of times, fairly recent. Okay. But here's the thing, there are so many people. We have a lot of people on our defense who will be entering into year two under Vic Fangio. A lot of those people who are entering into year two under Vic Fangio were not starters. Moro Jomo, Jalix Hunt, guys like that, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., a lot of people, who this is their second year in this defense. So those starters that we'll now have, a lot of them will be in year two. Okay. And so I'm not too concerned. Scott B, what's up, man? Just started watching your channel about a week ago. The other guy on there you keep calling an idiot is Philly 500. Been watching him for years. Great Eagles fan. No, 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 no. Not Philly 500. This was Dan Salio by himself talking to another guy. Philly 500 is an idiot, in my opinion. He's very knowledgeable, and I love watching him. But no, it's not Philly 500 that I'm referencing that Dan Salio was talking to. This was before he actually got on a call with Philly 500 and Mark Holmes. Mark was just rebroadcasting what Dan had done with this guy. So that's what I'm talking about. Um, like your channel so far, by the way. Appreciate you, Scott. I really, really appreciate you. If you haven't already, again, please hit that like button. Y'all know what I need. And for those who haven't and is watching this as a recording, please hit the subscribe button too. It'll be a super big help for me and me trying to build up these numbers. Uh, no, it's okay. It's all good. No, that's all right. No problem, bro. You good. So recognizing that, you know what? They're now turning into Cowboy fan base is now turning into miniature carnival barkers, just like Jerry. So that transformation is actually starting to show itself. At one minute they hate Jerry, the next minute they sound just like him. Now they're doing the same things that he's doing, manufacturing controversy where there is no controversy. You know, I can remember there was a report that came out during training camp, one of the joint training camps with the Cleveland Browns. The Eagles had a bad day in training camp. Oh, and it was like, yeah, if you're gonna have a bad day, training camp is where it should happen. You hope, and then they can follow up with some good days. Turns out the Eagles had more good days of training camp than they had bad days, and so I'm just not entirely clear as to, I wasn't clear as to what the aim was, but now that both fan bases have entered into Dallas and Philadelphia hate week, I'm starting to see what the effect has been on the fan base in terms of not having Micah signed, Jerry doing the things that he's doing, lying, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, come on, y'all. Dallas, listen, I get that you really want this to happen. I get that you really want to have a a win and everything like that, but mm-mm. No, not going to happen. Not today. Not this week. Next week, okay, yeah, but no. I get that for everybody in the league. What I'm saying, we're the. They say, oh, you got the target on your back, but understand something, and y'all know I'm not. I'm not wrong. This team is hungry. In fact, the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles are a much more dangerous team than the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, only because a lot of the guys on the team have known success, and they came into this season hungrier than when they did last season, and that's what makes them dangerous. You know, y'all already know a hungry dog runs faster. What I'm saying? Shout out to Jason Kelsey for that one. And that's where we are right now. We're hungry and we're youngry. What I'm saying? Because we're the second youngest team in the league. The Washington Commanders are officially the oldest team in the league, and that's another fan base that is trying that kills me as well. Eagles girl 117. We are the team to beat. And that's thank you, Eagles girl. That's what I'm trying to tell these people. I just don't think that people don't realize what that means. And I've explained to folks that, like, the fan base hates, the other fan bases hates when I have the crown on. And I'm always like this. And they're like, why you wear your hat like that? And I'm like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. So I got to shift my crown in certain ways so I can carry it and make it look good while I wear it. And here's how I do it, because I always want people to know, I know exactly where we at. I know exactly what we're doing. And so, hey, Eagles girl. So I'm just like, that all that talk about, the target on your back and you're gonna get everybody's best shot and all this other stuff. Yeah, we got all that last year too. Okay. Nothing new. It's not like we ain't never had the target on our backs. It's not like and listen, there's a lot of guys on this team who remembers that Super Bowl loss, who also got their first ring last year. So, and I like the way this team I so like the way this team is built. I like the culture that is being developed there, this culture of winning. And one of the things that I love about this team also is the players police themselves. So I'll say this to all of you because we don't know yet, but pay close attention to who the team elects as captains. Okay. I was on the Eagles collective podcast last night. We went for a little over 3 hours yesterday. And I was, the question was asked, who do I think will be captains? I mean, who do I think, the team can't live or live without on offense and defense? And I said, I tell you what, watch who's named as a captain. That'll tell you all you need to know. And the fact of the matter is that there is something that I hear about this team that you don't hear about any other team, and that is how the players themselves police each other. And they have, because there's a particular type of standard and the culture that's being built in that building at NovaCare Complex and amongst that team that just, like, for us, there are a lot of things about our team, in particular our quarterback Jalen Hurts, that you actually have to go searching for. You got to go and try and find these things because they don't sit there and broadcast their feelings and what they're doing all the time. Jalen Hurts doesn't say anything. Everyone else says it for him. So I hear how the talking pundits are saying he's not a top 5 quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not this. He's on a loaded team, blah, 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 blah. But you don't hear him saying anything, you know. But what you will hear, you'll hear Wink Martindale, who used to be the defensive coordinator for the Giants, tell you something like, I've never had a quarterback, an opposing quarterback, call me and ask me to scout them. That was crazy. And he did it. You don't hear, you hear Peyton Manning tell you that, yeah, Jalen Hurts calls me all the time. And when he calls me, he has very specific questions about specific plays. And I appreciate the fact that he's such a student of the game. And that's really good. You don't see, you don't hear Jalen Hurts, bragging about spending time with Michael Jordan. No, you got to wait for the pictures to come out and people to see them to know that Jalen Hurts was, spending time with Michael Jordan. Okay. We would have never known about Jalen Hurts having the picture of him walking off the field with the confetti for the Kansas City Chiefs the year we lost the Super Bowl. You would have never known that was his lock screen picture had someone not sat behind him, looked over his shoulder, and took a picture of his lock screen when he wasn't looking. And then it got out. So it's stuff like that. My quarterback doesn't go out there and advertise and broadcast what he is and isn't doing. Again, it was the press who put two and two together at the ring ceremony, that of all the pictures and everything like that of the players getting their rings and trying them on and everything like that, you didn't see not one picture of Jalen Hurts with the ring on at all. He never put it on. And when you asked him about it, the only thing he kept saying was, I turned the page. I'm on to this year. Now I did see AJ Brown get up and walk up to Saquon and say, listen, man, I know it's going to be hard as hell, but we got to do this again. I know 2 weeks after they won the Super Bowl, AJ Brown got to work. He said, I thought I was gonna feel some kind of way about winning the Super Bowl, and I didn't get that feeling. And I realized it was because the feeling only came from the by virtue of the process to get there, the season as a whole. So he got back to work. Then you see Devontae Smith tweeting out something like, "Okay, back to work." So these dudes is really doing. Philly 5 says it starts with Jalen being that fit for the culture. Hell, the league always recites his quotes. That is a fact, Philly. That is such a big fact. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you don't. Again, you don't hear him saying it. You don't. He's not in front talking, and they make fun of him because he has all these different anecdotes and stuff like that. Money's great, but championships are better. You know, when he said, when someone said, "Hey man, you've been voted Super Bowl MVP, you're the Super Bowl MVP," and he was running out on the field, he was like, "Man, I'm a Super Bowl champ." That tells you where his head is, his mindset, and guess what? His teammates, they following right behind that. So again, I'm pretty happy about the way things are going, and that's a stark difference than what you are hearing from the Dallas Cowboys fan base. Kevin said Seven says smoking a blunt in honor of our Super Bowl banner and the Cowboys ass whooping. What you smoking on, man? What you tell me, Kevin Seven? Won't you write in the chat? What exactly are you smoking on? You know what I'm saying? Because your boy wants to know. The other day I had me some chunky monkey. So it was, and it had put me on my ass, which is what I like. So let your man know what's going on, what you went to, you know. And so William Galbraith, what up, fam? How you doing, bruh? You know what I'm saying? I'm up here talking. It's Dallas Hate Week, so it's like, you know what? It's not even really like. Here's what's funny. It's not even a Dallas hate week. It's more like Philadelphia Eagles hate week. The hate week really is for the other fan base because this is just make fun of Dallas week. You know, this is the long walk to the gallows that they got. Hey man, oh you know what man, yo William, I appreciate you, and if I could keep you company and sort of make the time go by faster, bro. That's I understand. I understand. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I hope you ain't got too much longer to go before you're off, man. But I know what you mean. Just something to fill the time and fill the air. And if I can do that for you, then that makes me feel good too. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you on that. And listen, shout out to your coworkers, in particular, the coworkers that you have who are Dallas fans. Tell them it's okay, poo poo. It's okay. Listen, here's what the benefit of of being a Philadelphia Eagles fan during Dallas Hate Week. You ready? If you got the app, you get a free Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I got a I have a cousin. I have a cousin who who hates the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a huge Dallas Cowboy. He will talk shit all day, every day. But guess what? He is always thankful for that Monday morning when he go into Dunkin' Donuts and gets that free coffee because he got the app. So they say what they want to say, but you know what it is. They know what the benefit is. Again, Jerry groomed them for this. They've all been groomed for this. So, okay, I'll take it. I will take it. Again, y'all, please look your boy out. Hit that like, and if you haven't already, again, you know what I'm saying, hit the subscribe button. Y'all know what I'm trying to do. Y'all know I'm trying to get into this. I want to. I'm making it happen. And listen, this later on this week, I'll probably end up this weekend. I'll probably end up going live again, where I'll be bringing people in the chat. I'll put the link to the Zoom to get in and come talk your ish on the in the bird section. The guardrails are off. I don't need a peanut gallery here. I don't want a peanut gallery. I want everybody. All are welcome to the bird section. But I promise you, you better have your shit together. If you ain't got your shit together, you come up on here, I'm gonna tear you up. Dana Scott said, "What's up, Leo and members of the bird section?" Dana, what's good, Mama? How you doing? We're trying to get ready for the long walk to the gallows for the Dallas Cowboys. The real Daryl says, "Funny how Philly fans talk, but your team is out there wearing Boston Celtics colors on the football field. Re- the real Daryl, really? That that's that that's that's your best rip right there. That's how you rip, really? The Boston Celtics. That's and then you wonder why we look at y'all like y'all crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's Mikey. What's up, big dog? Hey, Mikey, look at what the real Daryl said. This is where we. You know what? It's fine. You want to say we're wearing Celtics colors? Okay, fine. Whatever you need to say to make yourself feel better, I'll get it. You know, El Yepa says nice hat. No, Yepa, no, that's not what this is. Come on, bruh. You know what this is? This is a crown. I have to wear it. I have to wear it this way because heavy is the head that wears the crown. This bitch is heavy as hell. So I have to adjust it for the weight because, you know, when you got this right here, we don't when we have this right here, every time you see this on a piece of headwear, it's not a hat anymore. It's a crown. Okay? We wear crowns here. All right? That's what this is. And I know that, listen, Yepa, them other fan bases hate it. You know what the problem is with the Dallas Cowboys fan base? Because again, this is Dallas Hate Week. The problem with the Dallas Cowboy fan base is that their perspective, it's all about, the Super Bowls that they win, that they've won. They've got 5 Super Bowls. We got 5 Super Bowls. We only got 2. That's how they talk. That's their rip. And I have to tell them, like, you do realize, like, that's not the flex it used to be or what you think it is. You got 5, we got 2. Let me explain something to y'all. And I've been telling this and that, and all my regulars here know, you know, you guys don't know what it's like to be winners in the modern era. All of your Super Bowls came in the late 1900s. The late 1900s. Your Super Bowls predate high definition. Your Super Bowls were, Blu-ray, discs, DVDs, all that stuff. That's what you got. It's so bad they had to make a Netflix documentary talking about the late 1900s. So, uh, Dana Scott says them Cowboys are struggling a bit. Micah is rumored to leave in the country. Straight dysfunction. You surprised? It's Jerry. You know what I'm saying? Yepa says, yes, you got that right. It is a Super Bowl crown. Listen, Yep, if somebody ever come at you like that, use those bullets. Everything, and listen, everything that I'm saying about this fan base, you guys are more than welcome to use it. Okay, first of all, the whole fan base really needs to have their medication adjusted. That's the thing. Uh-oh. Tampa Bay has 2 Super Bowls on their resume, but does anybody look at them differently as a franchise? You know what? The real Daryl. Here's the question. Here's the thing. And this is I in my life, I only know of one Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan. One. That's my cousin Bay. Bucks Bay is what we call him. I don't think there's a lot of people who are Buccaneers fans. And you could probably count on one hand the number of people that you actually know who are actually Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. Blue Virus has the sleepy emoji. I get it. It's. I don't blame you. You know what? Stay sleep until September 5th, and then you would have slept through the ass whooping y'all gonna get, because I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys have to play us this opening night of the season for the whole season, Thursday night game, prime time, and y'all gonna get that ass spanked. Y'all gonna get smashed. Okay, that's what it is. Y'all gonna get smashed. So if I were you, I'd try to go to sleep as soon as possible too. This is again that long, long, long walk to the game because y'all know y'all gonna get blown out, and this is the same night that we're raising our Super Bowl banner. This is your Super Bowl. This is the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl. Okay. And here's the thing: you had the entire preseason. I don't care what nobody say, Brian Schottenheimer and all that other stuff, and what y'all done did and who y'all beat and who y'all got and all this other shit. Let me tell you something. Your whole preseason was just one long ass practice for the first game, and you still gonna lose. It's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same thing that happened with the Commanders. When they knew they had to play us the week before for the NFC Championship game, every practice was about stopping Saquon. Gotta stop Saquon. Gotta stop Saquon. We're gonna stop Saquon. That's all they heard throughout the course of the whole week, every practice. Remember, the defensive coordinator was like, "Yeah, if y'all use Jalen Hurts like a running back, we're gonna hit him like a running back. So be wise. If you're gonna do that, but be prepared what's gonna happen." Remember, he was talking real greasy, right? What happened? First offensive play, the very first offensive play from the Philadelphia Eagles, what did Saquon do? He ran 60 yards for a touchdown. Okay? That's it. Do you understand how demoralizing that had to have been for that defense? The whole week, all you were told was you got to stop Saquon. And the first time Saquon touches the ball, y'all can't stop him. And he ran in for a touchdown. And then we proceeded to put belt to ass and we put 55 on that team. All right. And I just want y'all to understand something. The last bit of film, do you guys realize the last piece of film that the league has on the Philadelphia Eagles was that ass whooping we put on Kansas City in the Super Bowl? We didn't barely win or anything like that. Nah, Patty got touched the whole game. So be careful what you ask for. You play big games. You got to deal with big prizes. The real Daryl says it is different when you are the champs. Everybody's going to be early and bringing their A game. It's hard to repeat. Bottle parties in the streets catch up with you eventually. The real Daryl, who is your team? I want to know who's your team. I know you're not an Eagles fan, and you don't talk like a Cowboys fan. So who is your team? Barkley's looking young again. League is in trouble. Oscar says, "Hey brother, hope all is well." Oscar, listen, this you got to check the chat. Oscar, check the chat. See what people have been writing. It's been funny. It's been crazy. You know what I'm saying? But the real Dow, tell us who your team is, okay? And keep an eye out. I'll put the stuff. Oh man, you're a doubt. That's right. This is Dallas here. Okay. Daryl, 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 Daryl. It's okay. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But listen, tomorrow morning when you wake up, get in touch with your therapist and ask him to adjust your medication. Okay? Just ask him. All right? Because the way things are going for your team, you guys are starting to sound y'all talking just like him. Y'all talk just like Jerry. You're just all you're concerned with is manufacturing crises and getting clicks and likes and people looking at you. You've rested your laurels on this Netflix documentary about a team from the late 1900s and people who used to snort coke and go to a White House and have all kinds of holes up in there and doing those things, So however this is, and really that Netflix documentary was just something of a history lesson for the generation of Cowboys fans, this current generation of Cowboys fans who don't know what it looks like to have their team win. You know, the reason why when you go on Google, or I mean YouTube or any other medium and you look up the games for the Dallas Cowboys, like when they re-air, like how on NFL Network they're always re-airing, they'll say America's game and it'll be telling a story about a team in the past. Whenever they talk about the 90s Cowboys and they show the footage from that Super Bowl and everything like that, do you ever notice how it seems like there's like a haze, like a gray haze on the screen? You want to know why that is? And the reason why that is because the film that game was recorded on and everything predates high definition. And so the high definition technology has to make up for that. And that's what you see. That high definition. That's none of your Super Bowls were done in high definition. And your Super Bowls were all won before the internet. So here we go. Um, the real Daryl says, I keep it real as a football fan. Philly is going to get every team's A game. Who was the last team to repeat in the NFL? It was the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were going for the three-peat. How'd that work out for them? And they got a documentary coming out too. Okay, they got a documentary coming out later this month. I can't imagine what that's going to be like because it's the documentary is going to be about last season. They got followed this whole season, and I'm just curious. Like, you mean to tell me y'all going to have like an eight episode documentary on Netflix, and you're going to take your entire fan base on this journey about what happened when everyone knows what happens at the end of the journey? So how are you going? How are they? I'm curious to see how they're going to talk about that, how they're going to present that in part 8. Now, here's the funny part. A friend of mine, one of my other business partners, who actually lives in Kansas City, me and him, I said the same thing to him. And he told me, he said, bro, he was like, because he's in market. And he was like, if you listen to the sports radio in Kansas City, they're asking the same question. Everyone's curious, like, how is this gonna present itself when everyone knows how bad they got their asses whooped. Okay. And so, again, and listen, Daryl, look, bro, you know what I'm saying? Whooping y'all asses is just that. It's just a step. It's only a step. The first step of 20 that we have to make to get to the Super Bowl and win. Okay? So that's where I'm at. Yeah, William, I just said the same thing the Chiefs did. It's not like we don't know how hard it is to repeat or to be the team that won the Super Bowl and got to go through the next thing. Now, here's the thing: he's saying we're gonna get everybody's A game. Well, what game did we get? What game did everybody give us last year? And guess what? Everybody that we got to play, they're going to get our A game too. Do I expect us to win every game? Mm-mm. I think we're going to be 13-4, 14-3 maybe again. You know, and I do know that when you look at our running back room with not just Saquon, but we got AJ Dillon and Will Shipley. I just think AJ Dillon is about to be a resurgence and his and help take off some of that load for Saquon. But y'all know we just want to run it down y'all throat. Dallas is struggling and has historically struggled to stop the run. They don't know if they want to keep Mozzie on the team, and he was their number one draft pick just a few years ago. You know, I heard the rookie Tyler Booker is probably going to end up cracking the starting lineup. Okay, and exactly what he wanted, Jalen Carter. He's going to get that the very first game. So, looking forward to see how that works. It is different when you are the hunter compared to the hunted. All right, Daryl, do me a favor, right? Do me a favor. Stop talking as if we don't know what it's like to have won a Super Bowl and have to play the following year. We know. You like what in all that you are saying have we not heard before? Have we not experienced before? You act like this is something that Dallas is trash against the run. They need to get a legit one technique. Yeah, hey, listen, and mind you, that's a question mark you got going into week 1 against us. You do realize that we're returning 10 of 11 starters on our offense. 10. Okay. Our wide receiver room has gotten even deeper. You know, our running backs room has gotten even better. But this is you plan on winning? Come on, homie. Come on, man. This is this ain't the way you want to go about doing things, man. You don't really want to. I told you, you play big games, you're gonna have to deal with big prizes, and and I know they say any given Sunday, and that's cool, and I subscribe to that too. Good thing is we playing on a Thursday, and y'all gonna get y'all asses whooped. There's no other way about it. You know what, and you could thank us for that too. You know why? Because if Mike is not signed and he's not playing come next week, when we tear that ass up defense, because your defense is lacking, that's gonna get Jerry to get Micah signed up. And at this point, if Micah gets signed tomorrow, damage is already done. Damage is already done. Like you had to, and look, you had the whole preseason to prepare for us. That's what your whole preseason was. Hey, Leo, Did you see where we signed Marcus Epps back? Yeah, I saw that, man. I saw that. I was like, whoa, okay. Someone that's familiar with the team. So all right, I'm okay with that. He and had a key play during the Super Bowl too. When they went for it on fourth down, he knocked it out the way. So again, we got some serviceable players on our team. But yeah, Marcus Epps is back. Hey y'all, you got to see the offensive lineman. He's 5'11". His name is something Lampkin. Check out the film on him. This dude he's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? And you put him under Jeff Stoutland, he's going to be in Stoutland University. It can only get better. You know what I'm saying? So, it should be fun. It's going to be fun watching how this goes and see what kind of combinations we have. I like the fact that Kevin Patullo and Jalen Hurts has been spending a lot of time putting this offense together with his input on it. And so, the fact that this maturation process with Jalen Hurts is has steadily been growing, and we haven't even reached his prime yet. He's not even in his prime yet. Okay, this dude's been to two Super Bowls and won one, became the Super Bowl MVP. Like okay, I think a lot of people are thinking that he's going to have an MVP, a league MVP year, and I just don't see that happening. And a big reason why I don't see that happening is because if he does have an MVP year, it's going to make a lot of the talking pundits look bad, including beat writers and so on and so forth. So I just think that in the interest of them keeping their jobs, there's no way they can give Jalen Hurts that vote of confidence as the league MVP. It's just not going to happen, regardless of what he does. They're always going to find something wrong with him. They're always going to think Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, uh, 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 Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson as better quarterbacks than him. So they just can't afford to give Jalen Hurts that kind of nod, because it would make them all look bad. And I get it. So, but here's the thing: I don't really care. All I care about is, did we win the Super Bowl? That's all I care about. That's all. That's like Jalen said, keep the main thing, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Keep the main thing. Again, y'all, do me that favor. Keep saying it. I'm gonna keep on beating this drum. Please hit the like button, and if you haven't already, do subscribe. Share this with your friends. Y'all already know this is it now. And again, my response to Mark Holmes is just simple: go get your medication adjusted. You've turned into a true apostle of Jerry Jones, because now you're just manufacturing controversy. And it just doesn't. I think what really bothers the Dallas fan base is that they know for a fact that they mean nothing to us. Because you'll hear them say, "Oh, you guys are so arrogant." I had a bunch of Cowboy fans tell me that I needed to humble myself. You should humble yourself, Leo. You need to humble yourself. Why? Because it'll make you feel better. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm not here to cater to your feelings. Fuck your feelings. Okay? I don't really care about you. I don't care about your team. I don't care about your feelings. Fuck your feelings. And everybody else. And listen, we better get everybody's A game, because that's what you're going to get from us. Hey, look, yes. Do we have to play Dallas? Yes. Do we have to play Washington? Yes. Do we have to play New York? Yes. Do we have to play the Rams? Yes. Do we have to play Kansas City? Absolutely. Do we have to play Detroit? Yes. Are we going to get their A game? Yes. Guess what, though? They got to play us too. They're going to get our A game too. Every one of them. Like they when you talk to those players, they don't talk about us the way y'all talk about us. You know what I'm saying? And I think what the other fan bases ought to be doing is, you should be paying more attention to what the actual players are saying versus what the talking pundits are saying. Because truth be told, when you look at, and this is why the talking pundits and the networks are losing ground to the content creators like myself and Mark and Game Time and all of them, and Lord Brunson and Philly 500. The reason why they're losing ground to people like us is because you folks out there, would much rather hear, we're like a breath of fresh air. We call it like we see it, and a lot of times the way we call it is the exact same way that you see it too. And so you would much rather someone tell you the truth, regardless of how bad it is. That of course, if you're Dallas, because all you want, if you're Dallas, all you want to be is talked about. You don't care if it's good or bad. You just want to be talked about. You want to be relevant. Why? Because you think you're America's team. You're the most valuable franchise. Everyone's talking about you. And when they're not talking about you, they're trying to think of ways to talk about you. You care more about attention and being talked about than you do about Super Bowls. That's what makes y'all pathetic and sad. You're just pathetic and sad. And I'm sorry. Like I just don't get it. Leo, did you see? Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm reading the thing. What up, Linda? Linda, girl, listen. I got a Dallas Cowboy fan on here, and the best rip he could come up with is we wear Boston Celtics colors on the football field. That was his best rip. Y'all, Linda, it's Dallas Hate Week, and these people cannot think of anything. Their best rips are just not it. It's not working. They don't like. They think we're arrogant. They just don't understand and get this. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't understand? What do you mean you don't understand where this is coming from, huh? I don't get it. Retro, what's good? Retro says, not true for me, but okay. You know what I'm saying? Retro, I think you're one of the more reasonable ones, but listen, your battle buddies, they need their medication adjusted. They need their medication adjusted for real. And you know what? Retro, I'm sure it's probably irritating for you. Like I'm sure you like, just shut up. Just shut up. You keep talking, you're gonna make them want to whoop our asses even more. And it's true. Mm. It does make us want to whoop your asses even worse. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta get it going, man. I gotta get it. I gotta respond. Mark put me on blast today, telling me, showing a video about Dan Salio and some other dude he was interviewing earlier in the day, and they both think that the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to repeat. I got a guy in here named the Real Daryl who's telling me he thinks he's schooling me on what it means to be a Super Bowl champion and trying to repeat and trying to get to and how we don't know what that's like and all this other stuff. And I'm just sitting there. This is that's the type of stuff that make me want to look at that fan base. Like I said, we all looking at y'all like y'all crazy, like something wrong with y'all, and it's true. It's so true, and I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else. I don't know how many other ways I could say it, But it's really quite sad. My, how far the mighty have fallen. Their Super Bowls all came from the late 1900s, Linda, and it's just biting them in the ass. They don't know what else to do. They don't know how else to be. So what do they try to do? They tell Leo, humble yourself, Leo. You got to be careful. If I were you, I wouldn't say all that. Yeah, like I'm here to make them feel better about their season. I don't care about you. I don't care about your season. Fuck your season. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Will, I was saying that Marcus Epps is back. So, you know, again, pay attention to our practice squad, not just our 53-man roster. Look at who is on our practice squad. We got guys on our team. Listen, y'all, Darius Cooper made the 53-man roster. Darius Cooper. Have you seen this guy? Shit. Diesel like a motherfucker. I mean, he is cock diesel. Okay. So it's sort of kind of, like like the amount of talent and depth, which is very important. Y'all know it's important to me. The amount of depth that we have is crazy. Dallas is soft in the middle of the defense. Mizey Smith and the two guys who couldn't beat him out with Saquon averaging 168 yards a game. Uh, William Epps got to wrap up instead of going for that big hit. I like him though. Hey, give him some more. This is year 2 for him in the Vic Fangio defense, and I'm sure Christian Parker is going to be on that ass about that too. The one thing we were really good at last year was we were tackling. We were a very well tackling team, and I expect that to even get to be built upon. Um, and he's baby AJ. Yes, he is. Darius Cooper is baby AJ. That is a perfect description. I think that's what I'm gonna start calling him now, baby AJ. But he's a good looking, he's a good looking wide receiver. Of course, and we got a motivated Jahan Dotson. It's a contract year for him. So even if he walks, you know what I'm saying, and goes to another team, we'll get a compensatory pick out of it and everything like that. So I'm okay with it. If we can get him re-signed to a better deal, I mean, to a strong, team-friendly type of deal, that'd be great. But okay, look at our wide receiver room. Aside from Devontae and AJ and Darius Cooper and Jahan Dotson, shout out to Johnny Wilson who's on IR. Let's pray for him to have a speedy recovery and that his 2026 season it looks to be as promising as what his 2025 season is, and that he starts off, he hits the ground running once he's able to. So keep him in your prayers. And listen, y'all, AJ Brown and Landon Dickerson were full go in practice today. I don't know what the word is on Jordan Mailata, and if any of y'all happen to know if he's still in concussion protocol or he's been cleared, that word has not gotten down to me yet, and so put it in the chat if you already know. If you can, anybody can confirm if Jordan Mailata is now out of concussion protocol. That is something that we need to keep a close eye on too as well. Look, I've catch y'all on here for almost an hour at 56 minutes. I so appreciate y'all being here with me and giving me your time. And I hope you don't feel like your time was wasted. I know we got one of our friends here in the chat that's actually at work. So I'm hoping that I was able to at least make things a little bit easier for you so that your shift goes a lot better and is enjoyable. But if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe for me, and share the shit out of this. Particularly for all of y'all who have Cowboy fans in your friend groups or whatever, text them this video. Tell them to follow the bird section. He's gonna be talking shit about y'all every day for the next 7 days, until September 4th. And then y'all really gonna hear my mouth. So let's get it going. Y'all know what I need. I'm trying to get those subscribers up. My goal is to get to 10,000 by the middle, if not to the end of the season. And so I want to make that happen. And I'm, like to some people's advice, it was like, yeah, just lose a couple of games, they'll all be here. No, but okay, I don't want to do that. I want this to, be because people really want, to be on here and hear what I have to say, and I appreciate that. um with that being said, again, y'all, everybody here at the bird section is welcome. Can't wait to have y'all back. Oh, and I'll be seeing y'all soon. Peace. This was so much fun.